Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I am working on a layout for the Scrap the Boys design team for February. This month's prompt is a sketch that will be available up on the Scrap the Boys Facebook page and the blog if you want to go have a look. I'll leave the links in the description box below. But at the moment I am going to get started with my layout. So I have chosen to pull out this collection. This is the Simple Stories Little Dude collection. I think I've used up most of the papers, so some of the papers in here are actually just pulled out of my stash. And I'm going to be documenting a couple of photos of my son at a petting zoo a few years ago. So I'm just going through all my papers now. I have lots of scraps from this collection. Yeah, lots of little bits and pieces. I'm trying to decide which colors I want to use. This does end up being quite a bright, fun layout in the end. So I've chosen some photos here. I've actually printed them out twice and I'm not sure why. I think I was having some issues with the place I was getting my photos printed where they were printing out really dark. I'd edited them to reduce shadows and whatnot, and they were like auto editing them and sending them to me in the original unedited state basically. And I have obviously tried to print them out again and they've just come out exactly the same. So yeah, I'm not printing at that place anymore. But I'm just trimming my photos down to make them both, I think they're mostly square. They might be slightly rectangular, but pretty close to square. I'm just going to add a little white border to both of those. Just scribbling down my date before I cover it up. I've got it written on the back of my photos there. And just trimming all that down with my little guillotine just quickly. Okay, I'm going to add a couple more photo mats, just simple ones, to both my photos. So I'm using this light blue and a bubble effect paper that's super old, from an old cheap like dollar store scrapbooking kit. And then this red is actually from a Kaisercraft collection. So I actually have quite a few bits and pieces mixed in with this kit. It came with a lot of, it's one of the collection kits from Simple Stories, and it came with a lot of embellishments and other bits and pieces, and certainly not enough paper, so I have had to supplement the paper. So this sketch does have a large square in the center of the layout, and I think this was the only piece of paper that was actually big enough to make that large square, so I am just going to cut that down to a square, and I am going to come in with some of these little circular elements off this paper to punch out. And I'm doing this instead of the little squares that are on the sketch. I decided just to go with circles because I have this paper and I've been meaning to punch circles out of it ever since I first saw it, and I have never got around to it. So I'm just going to do that. This is going to be my background paper. This is a super old paper out of my stash. I have actually saved the branding strip so I could share with you how old it is. It's by Little Yellow Bicycle and it was made in 2008. So a long time ago now, which is quite funny to me. It's probably one of the oldest things I have in my collection. So I am just continuing to go through now and punch all these little circles out. I'm trying to get a good variety of patterns and text and little dog, and I think I get the little frog as well, and just trying to vary those colors so they're not all sort of too similar. And I'm just going to line those up where those little squares are on the sketch. So just like that, and just fiddling around with the placement at the moment, trying to make sure they're nice and spread out and even. I love that little orange star. So just going through and trying to space them all out evenly, and then I will come in with some ink. So I'm going to ink the edges of these papers, pretty much everything, with my chipped sapphire distress oxide. This isn't something I normally do, but I just felt like with the busy pattern I have here and the kind of really bright background paper, it would just help to make all these elements stand a little better. So there you go. So you can see the edge just a little bit more distinctly. I'm also going to go around and do all the edges of the circles as well. Yeah, I'm just really a lot happier with how that looks once I've inked everything. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick all these pieces down. They're not going to go anywhere. That's the beauty of working with a sketch. You know that things aren't going to really deviate too much from where you have them. Sticking my photos down as well. And this is such a bright background paper now that I'm looking at it. Not something I would usually do, but you know, this paper has been in my stash for so long, it feels good to get it used up. And this is definitely a good opportunity to do that because it's a kids page and, you know, bright colours make sense for a kids page. Just sticking all those little circles down. This was a nightmare to get even. I just eyeballed it. I wasn't even going to try and measure it. And I do end up having to move a few things around, but I get there in the end. And it's still not perfectly even, but it's close enough. I'm just going to add a sketchy border with my Pigma Micron just to kind of help tone down that brightness, I suppose. Try and ground everything and contain it. So I'm just doing a scribbly sketchy border, and then I am going to go in and add a couple of scribbly kind of zigzag stitchy details in different places around the outside edge. There we go. And then for my title, so I'm going to pull out the chipboard from this collection and I'm going to pull out the rule. I'm not a big fan of the boys rule sentiment in general, so I think boys and girls are just as good as each other. But I am going to just split it up, so this will give me two titles. So I'm just lining that up along the top of my photos there, and I think I will come in a minute with the rest of my title. Yep, so I'm going to pull this little bit of yellow paper from my scraps bin, and I'm just going to use that to kind of help my title stand out off that really busy speech bubble paper. I'm going to use these tiny little foam alphas from, I'm pretty sure they're from a Paige Evans collection, and they're just a navy foam. And I've tried to use my guillotine, but I figured out really quickly that this isn't working because I have foam alphas on there and they won't fit under the little plastic guard. So I just switch over to my scissors in the end. And it's not perfectly straight, but it's good enough for me. Close enough is good enough. So that's stuck down just there nicely. And I'm going to go through all the embellishments. Still so many embellishments left from this kit and almost out of paper. So I'm really going to have to go through and break this kit down or add some more paper. I'm not sure which. So just flicking through, I'm super fast. I've sped this up really quickly. I'm just trying to pull out the bits and pieces that are relevant that I might use. I've got that Dream Big speech bubble off the chipboard. And I just like the orange at the bottom there, and it helps kind of tie in the rest of that speech bubble paper. I've got a label there for my date. I thought that would be a good place to put that. I'm just kind of spreading things around at the moment. I wasn't exactly sure where to put my embellishment clusters. I do end up with one at the top left and the bottom right here, and I do kind of end up with a third one in between my photos, even though it's not, I don't know, it wasn't intended to be an embellishment cluster, it just kind of evolves that way. So I'm just coming in with the combination of the stickers and the die cuts here. I love that little bear. Some heart stickers. And now I've got the puffies, so I'm adding some heart puffies. There we go. So cute. And that puffy lizard, super cute. I love him. So I'm just going to tuck him there. And then I found a little puffy fox. It's that kind of sketchy design of the bear, so I like that. And another couple of little phrase stickers, and then gluing down my embellishments. So just layering them all up together. Love the little arrows. Yeah, I think I end up with 3 arrows on the layout as well, which that makes me happy. Just a little bit of tacky glue on all the bits and pieces. And now I've got my journaling, so that is just typewritten and cut into strips, and well, it's printed on my printer in a typeface font and then cut into strips. So I put my date on that label, and now I'm going to go through and just kind of make sure all my journaling is going to fit in this space before I commit to gluing it down. And then I'm just going to glue my strips down and trying to keep them fairly straight, but I'm not being too worried about them going a little crooked. There we go. And now I'm going to add some enamel dots. So I'm just going to add some of the red and the teal, and then I will pull in another color from another sheet because that lime green, it was exactly the same color as the background. It just doesn't fit. So I've got these little Kaisercraft ones. I'm going to use the navy ones. And I will add some to the middle here where I've kind of got, I just added a few bits, but it did end up being a cluster. So I'm just going to use those enamel dots to help create the illusion of that all sort of being one cluster. And that is my layout finished. Thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget to check the description box for the links to the Scrap the Boys challenge so you can join in with your layout. And I'll see you next time. Bye guys.